everyone, and welcome to the Digify Africa community event. My name is Mbali Hlongwane, and I manage the Digify Africa community, which is a network of young people across the continent that have graduated from some of our programs in digital marketing. It's a pleasure to have you with us here today. We know that you could have chosen to be anywhere else at this point, and here you are. So thank you to all of you. Shout out to everyone that is watching from Kenya, Nigeria, and South Africa, or anywhere right now. And hello to all of you that are also live streaming on our Digify Africa Facebook page. We are here today for another exciting Digify Africa community event. And for those of you who might not know who we are as Digify Africa, we are a nonprofit organization that trains young people across the continent in digital skills that are in demand. We have trained over 90,000 young people across the continent in digital marketing skills, and we have also placed hundreds of others in jobs in the digital industry. Our mission is pretty simple. It is mainly to bridge the digital gap in the digital industry, particularly among Africa's youth. And we ideally would like to see an entire generation of young people across the continent using the growing digital economy to launch and sustain their livelihoods. And that now brings me to the topic of today's event, which is all about focusing on women in the digital media and technology industry. Today, we will be chatting to three young women who are pushing boundaries for others to come in this digital industry. And yeah, let me just give you a quick rundown of how things will go today. So first, we will get to know our speakers. They will tell us a bit more about who they are and what they do. We'll then have a bit of a Q&A session where you can ask them questions. Feel free to put your questions on Facebook, on our Digify Africa Facebook page. And then after that, we'll also dive deeper into the conversation about digital inclusion as it relates to women, young people, and people that live in peri-urban and rural communities as well. We'll also discuss the issue of closing the gender gap in the technology sector. And once all of that is done, we'll then have another quick Q&A session with our panelists, which will lead us to the end of this evening's online event. So let me now introduce our speakers to you. I think right now we only have two of our speakers. The other one will be joining us any moment from now. But just to tell you a bit more about who they are, we have Mbali Hlongwane, who is the founder of Pink Coders Africa, which is a community of 500 women across South Africa in the IT sector. Pink Coders is aimed at encouraging more women to pursue careers in coding and technology. And then we also have Eunice Mugai, who is joining us from Kenya. She is the founder of YuDigify, an agency which offers digital marketing training and digital solutions. She has overseen the training and implementation of digital marketing strategies for several individuals, corporates, and non-governmental organizations as well. And she mainly focuses on data-driven advertising targeted ad campaigns. And any moment from now, we will also be joined by Beth Malatji, who is an entrepreneur. She is the founder of ReBeth Wines and the author of the Bootstrapper's Life-Saving Hacks, which is an easy to read practical book about business process automation. So in 2027, Beth actually took over the role of chapter director at Startup Grind Johannesburg, which is the largest global independent startup community founded in Silicon Valley. And it actively educates, inspires, and connects over 1 million entrepreneurs in over 300 countries. So welcome, ladies, welcome.
Thank you so much for having us.
Sure. So with that, I think we'll just dive into the panel discussion for today. Could you tell us a bit more about yourself, your organization, the businesses that you run, and yeah, who are you targeting, and what are you all about? What are you all about?
Sorry, I think we're waiting for you to let us know who can go first.
I think anyone can go first. Mbali, you can go. You can go first, Mbali.
Firstly, thank you so much for having us. Obviously, I think, Eunice, you also know that we are celebrating Women's Month in South Africa. So I really think this is really a great platform to be engaging on currently. But I think women are still facing. And so I'm really, really excited to be part of such a conversation that I'm hoping would obviously impact and reach some young women out there that can either be helped or advised just from this conversation that we're having today. And also, I think one of the most important things is for young girls out there to actually look at one of us and actually realize that it's possible. And I think that's really why I'm so excited to be here today. But to jump into our introductions, my name is Mbali Hlongwane. I'm originally from a beautiful city called Durban, and I am the founder of Pink Coded Africa, which is a community for female software developers. So I'm a systems developer by profession. And a lot of times people ask me then, why am I not stuck in a beautiful large organization, earning money and doing some amazing boring code? But like anyone else, I think I participated in the IBM Innovate Hackathon Challenge. That was a large hackathon where they were looking at Durban being one of the smart cities, given the fact that obviously it's one of the tourist attraction spaces. And so from that hackathon, we received, third place. It was really, really an exciting event, but I was the only female in a team of 5 guys. And then from that event, I was nominated and received a Women in Tech Award. It was in that group with corporate, it was, in that event with corporates, and so many young individuals who obviously identified the gap within the tech space. This led me obviously to moving to Johannesburg, where I developed and started Pink Coders Africa. Mainly just we wanted to start by running meetups. I wanted to understand why is this such a large industry that's really, really desperate for women, but on the other hand, is obviously women that are trying to get into the industry, looking for these opportunities. And I think if you recall, there was a time where if you said you were studying IT, people thought you were in a dead end industry because there was no jobs at some point. And so I wanted to obviously then bridge together with some of and my studies that I love to talk about is how from just running our meetups, we had reached out to us. And when Mackenzie reached out, we were actually looking at from Mackenzie, and we're looking at obviously filling those spaces with women. And from that event, from just that need, we had over 100 CVs come through. And from the 100 CVs, Mackenzie was only willing to look at 1 CV. This spoke volumes to us. 100 women from different backgrounds. We're looking at Universities of Johannesburg to your Rosebank colleges, and why is there such a huge gap? And this obviously then has led us to now where we are as Pink Coders, which we've now understood how do we obviously bridge the gap by also making sure that women who are getting into the industry study relevant skill sets. How do we make sure that women are well equipped for this industry by also discussing and trying to work through some of the biggest challenges women do face within this industry when they're trying to enter into the tech space. We are merely focused on software development and have run a number of programs with some of our amazing partners like your Kaiser Chiefs, Liquid Telecom, and so forth. And we are very, very excited to obviously have so much backing from local organizations that obviously have also identified the gap within the space. And I think I obviously have spoken so much, but initially just that's what we're doing as Pink Coders. We continue to grow and obviously have a vision of having a largest community across Africa of women that are well positioned for the tech transformation.
Wow, powerful stuff. Powerful stuff. Thank you, Mbali. I really, really love your vision of, trying to impact women from different societies, different backgrounds, and just trying to give them the necessary knowledge that they need so that they can identify the opportunities that exist in the tech and digital media industry. Because I think the biggest lie that most young girls have, growing up is that such careers in this type of an industry is mainly for guys or men. So thank you so much. Thank you for that lovely introduction. I think now we can move to Eunice.
Hello. Hi, everyone. How are you? All right.
Thank you.
I'm very, very well. Really excited to be in this forum. The fact that it is all about women in the tech space, and especially young women. And I feel young women really need a lot of mentorship. So I'm Eunice from Nairobi, Kenya. Yes. I'm from I'm the founder of a brand called YuDigify. And I know people are wondering why the name YuDigify. Eunice Digital. So I've been in the tech space. I'm a digital marketing trainer by profession. I've done it for the last 6 years. And then also I've been working with an agency and working with a lot of young people. The reason why I'm always thrilled with training is because it's sharing a part of yourself, a part of your skills with young people, especially young people, because here in Kenya, as of now, with COVID-19, a lot of our skills are the ones that are helping us as of now. And you see, the good thing about it is being able to impact a young business to grow from scratch and actually seeing data work. What data is doing in the tech space, what data is doing in marketing, the trends coming in, the excitement with it, but also the impact it makes a lot in businesses. So training young people is really interesting. Not only that, even training the way older generations, there are some of them who really are still interested. But my key interest after training is you've been trained, then where are you taking these skills? Especially getting to see young ladies that I feel lack all of these opportunities. Many people who want to know how do I create a website. Many people want to know how do I create an e-commerce website, what is targeted advertising. Many people want even to just get a skill of search engine optimization, So being in that space for that period and also getting even better opportunities to different kind of talks, different forums, but also wanting to give an impact back to people right here in Nairobi, Kenya. Apart from that, seeing what technology can make an impact, especially in the rural side here in Kenya. The good thing with training is you get to see a brand grow from scratch all the way to the top, giving solutions to non-governmental organizations that will make an impact to young ladies in the society. And I feel these are the few things that I really wanted to achieve with my career. So after already getting all of these skills and being able to impact X number of people in the training aspect, then I decided, why not jump? Because you get a lot of people wanting to work with you as a consultant in this space. And not only that, creating stories, creating a story with a small brand, creating a story with a young lady who just cleared or who just graduated from university directly, and you're finding it so hard to get into the job market, or finding it so hard, or you have ideas and innovations and you're wondering, where do I start from? Who will mentor me in this space? And digital is the way to go. I feel with COVID-19, digital is everything. Meetings are being done online, trainings are now done online, and people are still achieving the results even way better. Now, the question is, how do we use data around it? And how do I even use this skill to reach more young ladies? The goal is not even reaching ladies in Nairobi, reaching ladies even through the continent, especially the rural side. And I feel young people have so much young talent. Young girls have better talent. They think faster. Imagine if they get these skills. And the good thing with digital marketing is it is always changing, dynamic, always changing. So there is something new to learn every single day. Yes, and I'm Eunice.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Eunice. I absolutely agree with you that Africa's young people, African young people have a lot of talent, and, it just needs to be geared towards the right direction in, the kind of places that have the right opportunities. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Eunice. I think then now we will move to Beth. Hi, Beth.
Hi, Mulabreng. How are you?
I am good, thanks, and you?
Good. Hi, ladies. Hi, Mbali. Hi, Eunice, and everyone on the call. I've just been getting a lot of, internet problems, but I think I'm sorted now. I hope you can hear me well. I turned off my video because my internet is stable. It's unstable, rather. I don't know if that's fine with you.
That should be fine. That should be fine, as long as we can hear you.
All right, cool. Awesome. So now I'm just doing the introduction, right? about myself and my involvement in the digital space, I believe.
Yes, yes. Just tell us a
All
bit more
right.
about who you are and what you do.
Okay.
And yeah, maybe also touch on your entrepreneurial journey as well.
All right, cool. And thanks again for the invite. Really appreciate it. So my name is Beth Malatji. I am in the coffee and in industry, and we all know that alcohol hasn't been a good industry to be in the past few months because of the whole lockdown restrictions and regulations. Um, but I'm an entrepreneur myself. I also work with really good, reputable brands named Startup Grind, where I look after the Joburg chapter. So we run events on a regular basis and workshops on a regular basis. And last year, I joined GoDaddy, which is a domain company. So they expanded in South Africa last year, and I am their local representative in the South African market. So part of my role with GoDaddy is to obviously let people know more about their products and services, but also doing it differently. We're trying to educate people around the importance of digital presence and why small businesses really need to take charge and create their own digital presence without actually having to rely on somebody else to do it for them. So there is a product that we currently have where we literally teach people how to design websites by themselves without relying on a designer or somebody more like maybe like a graphic designer or a web developer or so. And it's been very well. I mean, you get to meet really interesting people who either they do have like a digital presence, maybe they've got Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. They'd love a website, but they think that it's expensive, or they think they need to get somebody to come and do it for them. So the challenge only comes when they have to make changes or when they have to do edits and all of that. So it's been interesting in a sense that people now get equipped with these kind of skills and they really relying on themselves, and also realizing that with technology, things are getting easier and easier. I love the fact that organizations are now getting into that mode of making things seamless for ordinary people like you and I, and that's the beauty of it. And of course, there are challenges along the way. I mean, we've done sessions in rural areas, in townships, and you still struggle with internet connection. I'm in a township right now, and you saw I was struggling with internet connection. And imagine if you have to create a website, for example, online, you really do need a very strong internet connection. So things like that are challenges. But I think as time goes on and as more youth advocate for proper, good internet connection, then we have direction. But otherwise, it's been interesting. As much as the challenges are there, we need to be very firm in addressing these challenges to our decision makers to say, yes, we will embrace technology, but you guys need to meet us halfway in terms of the availability of these resources for us. So yeah.
Sure, sure. No, absolutely. You touched a very important point there, Beth, about the issue of, just accessibility to good internet. And as much as, for people like us that are in this digital space where we are trying to get young people to access opportunities in the digital economy, it is challenging when now the opportunities exist, the skills training is there, but there's only certain people that have access to certain things that can be able to access that information. And I think that actually now it takes us into the next part of our discussion, where I'd really like us to talk about the issue of digital inclusion as it relates to women and the youth and people in peri-urban and rural communities as well. And yeah, I mean, real transformation for women comes from having access to using the internet. And a majority of the population, especially women in rural areas, in peri-urban areas as well, still fail to have access. They still don't have the knowledge. And yeah, even this digital skills training is kind of still limited to some extent. I think, appreciate for us to kind of touch on that issue and find out from all of you, what contribution, what insights, what experiences have you had in just your work as digital professionals and digital entrepreneurs in those kind of spaces. I think anyone can go first. Mbali, would you like to go?
Firstly, I think one of the things that I would like to touch on is I've just picked up some extremely shocking statistics, right? So with the pandemic, we have seen in South Africa 3 million lose their jobs in the space of 3 months. But out of that 3 million, statistics actually show that 2 million of them are women. And so this is really shocking, but also I think it speaks volumes to organizations like ours, where we are obviously trying to ensure that women are part of the transformation. I think one of the main things that I would love for all of us to, I think, start doing is actually be intentional and just focusing on women. And I'll tell you why I say this. And so if you're looking at a lot of these solutions that we've seen come up, obviously the pandemic and just the tech transformation has obviously gotten everybody so creative. And so we're seeing a lot of exciting businesses, a lot of exciting solutions that are obviously making lives better. But if you're looking at who's behind those solutions, and so we as women, I think, are continuing just to be part of the solution instead of actually pioneering all these different solutions. We're seeing men actually design solutions for us women, whereas I believe that as women, I think only we can understand some challenges.
Mbali, I think we were just struggling to hear you for a bit there. Can you hear us clearly now? Mbali? Okay, can you hear us now? I think we are struggling to hear Mbali, as she was making a very important point about the need to be intentional when it comes to the solutions that we are trying to create for our communities. Mbali, I think we can see you clearly now. Would you just like to pick up on the point that you were making? We lost you for a moment there. You're on mute, but I think we'll come back, and maybe Eunice or Beth, in the meantime, you can just touch on what the issue that we mentioned, just about digital inclusion for women and young people and people in peri-urban and rural areas as well. You can go, Eunice.
All right, perfect. So I feel, let me give a very good practical example right now with what is happening, especially around young ladies, because I am all about digital for young people, but more passionate about young ladies. Right now with COVID-19, right now here in Nairobi, very many people have lost jobs. The statistics, you can't even want to see them. But one thing you also get to see is, I meet a lot of people in training. There has been a need, there's been a big need for digital skills. So what do? You want to impact these young people, these young brains. Because of the people I've trained actually are young women, which is very sad. And what makes it even sad, these are young women who are even less than 25 years, meaning these are the young ladies who've just graduated. And I think there's a need to create programs as of now. There's a need for, there's even an urgency. There's an urgency for creating programs for young ladies as of now, for them to also get to know, yes, you lost your job, but you can also become an entrepreneur out of it. There are some of the people have already become entrepreneurs, and these are the people who already have a know-how, people who already know how to get a domain, where to get hosting, people who already know how to get a website. There are young people who are still learning as of now, meaning there's a huge need for it. And remember, not all of them can afford that training, that basic training. Not all of them. And remember, not all of them even have the skills or know-how. Some of them may not even have laptops. You see, you may either be training a team in the rural side, and some of them don't even have laptops. And that is also another step. It takes you a step back before you even start to include them. And the main goal is, or the main goal with COVID-19 is there are no people hiring as of now. That is the real fact. So since there is nobody hiring, what will happen to this young person? I have to give you the skills. Then you have to come up with a business idea as soon as possible. But the lack of funding or the lack of a program that even has mentors, it can even have different stages. There are mentors included in it. There are women who are already very good, big, or even gurus in the digital space who are there to tell you these are the steps you need to take. This is where you need to go for internship. I really, really feel young ladies are not getting people to give them direction. Because immediately, I always meet young ladies and I tell them, if I would go back to being 23, 24, I won't lie to you, I'd clear and I'd look for these soft skills that I will never get in the university here, because digital marketing is soft skills. It's just coming up. There's no constant curriculum for it. But now I feel when this gets to young ladies, by the time you're leaving, you already have a direction of this is the career I want to choose as a lady. And apart from that, my end goal is to work to this and this kind of a company, not only work there to just get financial income, but to work there to make an impact. You won't know if you're to make an impact in a company unless there's somebody who's been there before you. Even advising you, kindly look at this community within this region and look for, definitely if you want to make an impact, you have to also look at the rural side here. So you don't have to look at the urban side, look for a community within Samburu here in Kenya as an example, then tell these women who are making bids, as a young lady, I want to be able to market for you in the digital space. I want to brand you, But I feel right now, there's nobody doing that. All the young ladies, especially the ladies, the young people, they're all in a dark corner, in a dark room, you see. And yes, you'll get the skills, but who will direct me to the next step? And apart from that, I'm also thinking of how about the young entrepreneurs? How about somebody who resigned his work, his day-to-day job on December? Then January comes and COVID-19 came. So you're wondering, where will this young person go to? And remember, you're not having even a mentor ahead. So you're bound to make a lot of mistakes. A mentor just helps you not to save you a lot of mistakes. And as I said, everything right now is digital. You're ordering your ride with Uber just on your comfort of your seat. Sooner or later, I was telling somebody, there's a time to get that food will be coming to you. I would love that innovation to be for a young lady, because immediately she stands there, she inspires others. And that's the real goal. And I feel also the percentage of even ladies to men in terms of the digital space, it's less. Because you find that I can give you a case study. I work a lot with NGOs, and I really enjoy that a lot. And I really like making impact with NGOs within the rural side in Kenya. There's a team I am working with from March. There's an organization called ReBeth that decided to come up with a curriculum, social media marketing curriculum that includes media buying and all that in that course, and wanted to train their team. It was a team of 20 people. When I mean rural, I mean rural, not Nairobi, way rural. And it really feels good to train a team of 20 young ladies, somebody who was a photographer, owned a photography, campus production, that is just one of the students I know, and events are over. So how do I strategically align myself in the digital space? And with that training, I'm still tracking these students, because I'm really happy to see there's a young lady there who got a skill and is constantly following up to know, Eunice, there's this course, I saw this online, I saw this on LinkedIn, I saw this. It's really, now the likes of Carlos, Akida, that's some of the names of the students I trained, they still talk to Eunice because they actually know this is the direction I need to go to. But my thinking is, how many Carlos are out there who are still not getting this skill right now? Because I feel right now is a very critical time. Either you miss out or you're locked out. So getting to also work with a lot of young organizations, and even right now I'm still working with most of them and making an impact to them there while I'm here. I really would love to get other Eunices in Nairobi doing the same for young ladies within the rural side, and you're just using the digital space.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Oh, you've touched on a lot. You've really touched on a lot. I think to some extent, as exciting the world of digital is, it also becomes a very heavy topic now when we discuss it in this context of how far we still need to go ahead. But thank you for all that you've mentioned. We have a comment on Facebook from Leborang Molote, who says, good evening. Thank you, Beth, for raising the issue of internet in our communities. Yes, it's really bad. Thinking that we are in the era of online, all the Zoom meetings, webinars, etc. It's a mess. And one ends up going in and leaving the session due to poor, slow internet. I think that actually applies to all of us. It really does. It does. Thank you for raising that point, Lebogang. Thank you, because it really is a huge issue. Even just, even with this conversation that's happening right now, there's somebody that's unable to hear all of this knowledge and all of these insights that are coming out of this conversation simply because they either don't have a device or they don't have access to the internet. Thank you for raising that issue, Lebogang. We also have a question on Facebook directed at Mbali. The person would like to know, what kinds of differences do we see when women are more involved in designing tech solutions? What a great question. Mbali, would you like to answer that?
Of course, thank you so much for the question. So obviously, I touched a bit on, and before I had internet issues, which obviously seems to be everyone's issue, but I touched on women actually being at the forefront of designing solutions. And this is obviously just, I think, from the top of the solutions that we're obviously seeing, just from the look and feel of all these different solutions, but mostly just what some of these solutions are. I want to touch on just, I think, one of the biggest challenges that we faced in South Africa with obviously sanitary issues for young women. And so you're looking at some of these really pressing challenges that we have as women that really we could actually use technology to obviously solve and make easier. But because we don't actually have the skill sets as women, we obviously are relying on men to come up with all these amazing solutions. But all we're seeing is your Ubers becoming taxified, becoming in-drives, where we can actually be starting to use all these technologies to actually look at some of the really pressing issues that we have as women. And that's why I really, really think women being involved in either a process of designing a solution can actually help design solutions that are more directed to women, because we actually do have challenges that can be solved by technology, which I think is one of the biggest issues that you touched on, Eunice, is that how do we also have young women understanding that when you are looking at technology, it's not just obviously to better yourself for the industry that you're in. I mean, we've had women in the marketing industry saying, I don't need to study anything that has to do with technology. Actually, not even marketing, maybe finance. You know, a young woman studying finance saying, I don't need to know anything about technology. And then pandemic happens, you now need to work from home and have to look at all these different systems that you've never been introduced to, because obviously people are starting to think, you know, industries are not, technology does not actually impact their industries. But actually they're now having young women actually understanding that, hey, equipping yourself with tech skills is just not for your industry, but it's also to give you skill sets where you can now start looking at problems and seeing how you can actually design solutions for those problems. I'm hoping that I answered that, that question just by saying women pioneering, or rather women being part of the solutions actually will have then women to start designing solutions that are purely focused on some of the challenges we face as women.
No, that's a powerful point. That's a powerful point, Mbali. Thank you so much. And, you know, just speaking about the issue of the digital inclusion of women, another thing that you guys have been touching on in this conversation has been another challenge, which is closing the gender gap in the tech space. And I mean, historically, women have always been excluded from economic opportunities. And for quite some time, you know, they've had to catch up, especially in the last couple of decades. That, of course, has created the issue of the gender gap in many sectors. And one of those, as we have been speaking about it, is the digital or technology sector. And in fact, there's a mobile gender gap report that came out in 2019 and mentioned that women in Kenya are 39% less likely than men to have access to mobile internet. They are also 23% less likely to own a smartphone. And I think that statistic, as shocking as it is, it can definitely apply to several other African countries, because as I mentioned, women have always kind of, you know, been at the back and have always had to catch up. So I think maybe Beth, you can just talk to us a bit about this, and also Mbali, just talk to us about the work that you've been working on in this space, just trying to get women to have access to the right technological skills. I mean, Beth, you created a digital magazine, you became a digital publisher, and the whole point was just to try and disseminate entrepreneurial knowledge to people through digital platforms. So I think maybe just touch a bit on that and tell us about the work that you've been doing in the digital sector and how it relates to women. Sure, Beth, I think you can go first.
I got disconnected again, so I missed your question.
Okay. I was just speaking about how women have always kind of had to catch up for a lot of decades in many sectors, including the technology sector. And one of the things that you published an online magazine, in the entrepreneurship industry. And the whole point of that was just to try and get out a lot of information that aspiring entrepreneurs need. How has that experience been? What are some of the insights that you can share, especially in relation to women?
Okay. So Eunice touched on something about, I think even Mbali did, something about having, how do we get the Eunices in different, communities, like in rural areas, especially in townships and all of that. I think it's our job as, advocates of the digital space to now start looking at imparting some of these skills wholeheartedly to the women in rural areas, and literally just impart the skills and teach them almost everything there is, so that they can also teach to other women and other young girls in their communities. Because of course, some of us have our own lives in the cities and all of that, and we can't be doing up and downs, going to rural areas and. So I think having to include these women and giving them all the relevant skills that they need, and making sure that, we are available whenever they need our assistance. And there's, we can even go as far as creating like templates and frequently asked questions should they need any assistance, so that they can run it themselves instead of having one person who they rely on to keep coming to them. And remember, there's time involved, there's your energy, and you can't be everywhere, of course, so we normally call it trainer, I think, in our language. So we need to host a lot of those and really find people who even know how to properly communicate with the people in their communities. I mean, I've seen some of the challenges that we've been facing would be the language barrier as well. And you'd think that somebody doesn't understand you, but no, they just don't understand English, or they don't understand the language that you are facilitating with. So if you could impart that knowledge to somebody who's from that village or who's from that township, who speak the way they speak, look the way they look, hangs around them, even with the education, it's not so far-fetched. It doesn't look like it's some glorified magic or something, It comes across as real. This is real. This is somebody that looks like me, that hangs around with me, that doesn't come from the city, and 2 days later, you're not going to see this person anymore. So we need to impart our skills to those people that are in rural areas, and they can also impart the same skills to other people, and then we grow from that,
Yeah, I absolutely love that. I love that you touched on how the issue of the language barrier, and also just training other people that can train other people and train other people as a way to scale impact. Mbali, I think you wanted to touch on something.
Yes, so obviously I know that you have thrown a question to us, but I think one of the challenges that I think I have faced, and I would like to make this a question to Eunice and Beth, is how do we make technology attractive to women? And I'll say this because majority of the time you can, I'll just make an example, you can have an event or a program, but 90% of the people that actually sign up for that program is actually men. So how do we make women more hungry? How do we make technology more attractive to young women? Because I think we can do as much as we can, but there has to be a sense of hunger or drive or passion that also comes from the next person to be able to, tackle some of the challenges that they will face, but also just be driven enough to be wanting to learn and actually take it forth.
That's a great question.
All right.
Eunice, would you like to answer that?
Perfect. So how do you make technology attractive to women? How do you make coding attractive to women? How do you make women come for, how do you make an event have 90% outcome of women? Let me give you a secret. I noticed things like search engine optimization, women shy away from them a lot because SEO includes you to know how to use a website, as an example. And having website, backend, those are languages that maybe they're not attractive to women. But I'm thinking, first thing is, why don't you show them you? Why don't you show them Mbali? This is how much I've achieved at this age. And I think I'm using digital, I'm using my skills. So the first thing is being the pioneer, being the advocate, and being at the forefront of showing them the beautiful side of it. And you see that beauty that they're not seeing in technology. But how do you do it? Ask women. I always like doing a lot of FAQs, frequently asked questions, but I like giving a lot of surveys. When you give surveys to women and you ask them why don't they like technology, probably it's how it's being presented, the strategy it's being used to be laid across, the protocols, or even the systems in place. So what do we do to make it attractive for women to say, we want to come for that tech coding event. We want to be the first people coming for that PMP kind of event. So I think the first thing to do is making sure whatever that you're giving women, asking women, what do you want to achieve? You as Mbali, you as Beth, you as Eunice. So approaching a Eunice who is just cleared university and says, I went to university to study this, but I do feel, or I've just cleared my high school, probably I don't have the funds to go to college or university, but I know my talent is here. I have a talent, I have this skill. Or whenever I write, whenever I do my poetry, people always listen to me. And now you're telling that lady, you want this to get to your target audience, you need this technology. This is your bridge. Showing them the value of it, showing them that without this bridge, you cannot reach the target audience, showing them without this bridge called technology, you'll reach lesser people, will reach a lesser audience, and showing them the value, showing them the benefits of technology. You know, it's like showing somebody the product benefits. It's like saying this is a shampoo, it has this chemical, but product benefits that Mbali may understand is this shampoo will grow your hair. So what do I need to tell them? This is not technology, this is coding, product benefit. So we need to show them the benefit of it, the product, the end game, the before and after, so that they can see if my business looks this small, if I put technology in this, it will be 10 times bigger. Everybody wants to achieve big with their business. It's like telling a Eunice who is always a secretary in a certain company, if you want to grow to advance to become somebody here and make better impact, or you want to fulfill your dreams or your goals at work, then technology is the way to go. So if you actually mesh the two, you'll get to see very many women will be there. But I think the terminologies, the language, trying to simplify them and even simplifying them with case studies. Women may not understand the coding language, CSS, Java, they don't want to hear. What they want to know is, what will be my product value at the end? Immediately you picture the goal Eunice will expect, or even show Eunice different case studies, then you get to see she gains interest. So I think we need to show them the benefit, and we also need to show them, I feel we also need to show them real case studies of Africa. I want a young woman in Africa. I would like to show you a story of a Beth in Sudan, as an example. I want to show you a Beth in South Africa. I want to show you a Beth in Ethiopia. And this Beth started with the same circumstances as you have as a woman, but she put technology in place. She learned what advertising is. She learned how to use data. She learned to leverage with working with what she has. And she built, and slowly, it's a step by step. Step by step, you get fined, this person even grows and surpasses that digital marketing and says, I want to go and become a software developer. And guess who she look at? She look at Mbali.
I absolutely agree with you, Eunice. Sorry, Mulabreng. Sorry for speaking on top of you. I absolutely agree with everything that you've said. And I love the fact that you've mentioned the simplifying of the jargon, because more often than not, that is what makes women shy away from being involved in the spaces, because they don't know if they'll be able to hold conversations, with people in that industry, because they don't understand the jargon. They don't understand certain ways of speaking. People speak in codes, like they throw in hot words. There's always a new hot word popping up from nowhere, So, and generally women want to be in a space that I think we mustn't look at the fact that we are warm as a weakness. We generally want to be in a space where we are warm, we welcome, we feel like, we are included in whatever that's happening. So I also loved what you touched on about the case studies of the women, the ordinary women who've made it, through technology. And as much as people would say, no, it's a lot of PR or too much PR for a certain women-led company, that is fine. Let's keep talking about them. Let's keep celebrating them. Let's keep using them as examples. And the more it gets into our heads, then that means, it's possible. And even Bali mentioned earlier on that, we need to think she mentioned that we need to get into a mode of really seeing what works and what doesn't. So if there's a lot of women that we are seeing that are getting into technology, that are doing well, there'll be other women as well who would be inspired and would want to know, how did that happen,
And I think maybe just to add on what she said, I've gone for a lot of events here. A lot of universities here do a lot of events in entrepreneurship. You go for talks, they're really good, but then you also get to see the gender balance there. I really feel if, women become more confident. Women become more confident if they speak what they do. If I speak technology, I come and I'm mentored by Mbali how to code, then she gives me a platform like this platform. This is an amazing platform, because if there's somebody seated somewhere on Facebook with just their phone, a gadget, in the village somewhere, and this person is actually seeing the talk and the conversation, and there's a woman who is thrilled, there's a woman who is getting motivated wherever she is right now, inspired. But now I feel if there are more of these events, I repeat, if there are more of these events that include, remember, this is the keyword, it gives spaces and inclusion for young women. You'll find very young women going to that podium talking technology. And sooner or later, they'll start implementing technology. So I feel if there are very many events that are coming up, I'm actually picturing an event of, you can even, don't let us not say top 100 biggest women in you can do top 100 big women in Africa in the digital space, then take another top 100 young women. Let's take the most experienced, the best of the best, but then let's also take the lowest of the lowest. Let's match these two. It's like matchmaking. It's like what we always see Chinese doing here with businesses. They come here, they set up an event, call their guys, come to Kenya, showcase their product, they matchmake with other business owners here. I'm thinking the same idea can be done just for women in digital space. I'm looking at an event where Mbali is there and meeting a very young lady who is a coder, who looks at her and is like, how did you get here? If more of these events come up, and this event should make it look like getting to that podium is not hard. Because once you show a woman getting to that podium is not hard, then you find they start talking digital. It is a thrill to train somebody digital skills who came at zero in a class, and they live with that skill, and you get to also see their business grow. It doesn't have to be a multi-billion kind of a business. A small business can be digitized, and there are very many things that are not digitized in Africa. Anything that is not digitized is a business idea. Now I'm thinking if it impacts like a very small Mbali, a very small Eunice, a very small Beth, and if these events are made often and women are shown that you can get to this tech, I'm actually looking at a tech event that is only for women. Yes. So that women can start growing confidence within themselves. There's no complexity around technology. It's just a matter of understanding it and understanding the terminologies, how they function, what are these algorithms, And I think if that event comes in, and if they are more often and women gain confidence in technology, I think women will overtake the tech space.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. I want to stand up and clap hands right now because I agree with so much of what you're saying, Eunice. Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with the both of you, Eunice and Beth. And just even what you touched on just now, Eunice, about creating spaces that are inclusive for women as well, because the world of digital, the world of technology is not as intimidating as it seems. It's just merely sometimes a lack of the right information. And as we mentioned earlier on, also the issue of a lack of access to things such as the internet and devices and so on. But obviously, the first step is always, trying to educate people about the skills and the opportunities. Yeah, so thank you so much for that, ladies. And if you are live streaming on Facebook, remember that you're still welcome to comment with your question that we will post to our panelists. And as we prepare to wrap up, this conversation has been so interesting. I think I'm still, I'd still like to talk for the next hour, but obviously we only allocated an hour for this discussion. But something else that I think we can all start thinking about is, in the midst of the many challenges that women currently face, what is it that as a collective society we can do now to accelerate the digital inclusion of women as we try and increase their economic participation, particularly in this industry? So I think, yeah, how do we do that collectively as a society, from the NGO space, from corporates, from technology companies, from CSI and everything else? How can we accelerate the digital inclusion of women as just given where we are right now? Who would like to go, Mbali?
Yes, Mbali. Okay. All right. Okay. You can go, Mbali.
I'm actually struggling to hear you. I think I caught the last bit of the question. But I think you can go ahead so I can catch up.
Okay. Or you can go.
I think Molebogeng was asking, how do we make sure that women are included? How do we make sure that, we're a community that includes women in the digital space, right?
Yes. How can society, help women right now where we are to be able to get them to a point where they can participate in the digital economy?
I think it also starts with us, the users, and the potential users or customers. If you see a women-led startup or a women-led tech product, use it. And if there is anything you do not like about it, give it reviews. And if you feel the reviews are a little bit harsh, rather drop them an email. Don't be too mean about it. Because that can also tarnish the brand of whatever product it's there. And, just really support it, wholeheartedly. I really, really believe in the support of women-led startups, especially digital businesses. And even women as well. I mean, we have a lot of challenges that we're facing as women. Mbali did mention earlier on that, we don't have to create the next Uber or the next Facebook or whatsoever. We can still look at the challenges that we women are facing and digitize that. A friend of mine and I were thinking, what, we really, really struggle with, having to go to a salon and you think you've made an appointment with whoever that's doing your hair that I'm going to be there at 10, knowing that at 12 o'clock you've got an appointment somewhere else. And then you get there's like a long queue. So how about if there could be a platform where you just book, by 10 o'clock when you get there, you get your hair done, 11, you're done, then you leave. Things like that. Those are the challenges that we women are facing. Men don't know about that, and you can't expect a man to come up with solutions for us. So we know the challenges we're facing. It can be anything from parenting, from, a lot of challenges that we are facing as women, like buying clothes. How do we make sure that we know our sizes, things like that. And just really just look at the challenges that we're facing, discuss it with other women as well, and see if they can buy into that. And the other thing is, get into a club of other women who share the same pain with you, and maybe crowdfund that and work on that idea together and put your skills together and see how you can grow from that, So that's the thinking I'm actually looking at right now, to say, okay, what challenges am I facing as a woman, that other women with as well, and see how we can work together in order to grow from there, and really make sure that it is a proper business that is compliant, a proper business that is run successfully, and we make sure that it really does help other women out there. There's opportunities for other women out there. There's room for growth, and we really treat it like a normal startup that has potential to actually tap into the market and penetrate. Yeah, that's that.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Beth. Mbali?
Sorry, I was just... thank you so much for that, Beth. And I think I also wanted to add that perhaps maybe from a organization's perspective, if we could perhaps, I think, be more connected, and by connected, I mean working together. So I think what I have identified just from the number of programs that we have run as Pink Leaders is how some of the women are actually very demotivated because of the fact that there are so many female-focused programs, and how some of them are actually running these programs for financial benefits. And so you would find that you now have a lot of women attending all of these different programs and events, and then after the event, there's actually nothing that is seen through and actually goes on. So how about perhaps maybe as organizations, we become more connected and we actually have one voice. I can tell you now, there's a number of organizations that are running different programs with different datas about women they've impacted. But actually, if we're looking at the Vision 2030 and across Africa, can we actually say we'll be able to maybe even impact 500,000 women as a unity? So how about actually working together as organizations, as corporates, with all our different programs, and actually, because at the end of the day, we are targeting the same audience, we are targeting the same community. Perhaps maybe working together can help enrich, I think, our impact, and also just make sure that we reach a larger number of women at the end of the day.
Yeah, okay. Eunice, would you like to say something?
Maybe just a thought is, I keep saying one thing is everybody knows what their strength is in. Mbali is good with coding, Beth is good with. So you can actually tell your strength. Whatever your strength is, what I always say is, whatever you do, make sure you impact somebody. Your clients come from a very far. You are talking to your client, it's distant, but how about where you live? Who have you impacted? Is there that young girl you've seen within your estate, within your area, whom you think, what if I give her 1 or 2 hours to train her on digital? You always say, if you look at your sector, I always say you don't have to buy from somebody's brand. So there's a lady out here, a young girl I see, who is always literally selling any kind of business here, and she's quite young. And I feel if this lady gets digital or gets introduced to technology, she may really grow her business to a better level. So what do? I can always share your post on Instagram. It is as easy as just sharing your content online. It will reach my network, it will reach my audience. You may get 1 or 2, 3, 4 calls. That is just an easy way. How about doing pro bono work? Pro bono means giving it for free. I will give you an example. I trained a lady who came back to Kenya, had traveled out, and came back to Kenya, and she had a tour and travel company. But now it's not functional. So what does she do? Moved into farming. And the fact that she wants to do advertising for farming, strawberry farming, that's interesting. So what do you do as Eunice? You do for her that work pro bono. The work you always assign to a big company, do it pro bono. You've grown somebody. You've grown a young lady. You've trained her pro bono. That is just another thing that I think can work very well. Also, apart from that, you can even think of looking around your society and you decide, how about you promote local innovation? A friend of yours or a young lady, or you meet somebody, you ask them, where did you purchase this? Can I get it? Yes, it's from a young person. So when I go and buy, I'm actually promoting a very young lady. And if I see your customer journey, how you're getting your clients, I may tell you, how about I introduce digital to you? And I think this will save you time and it will even give you better results, return on investment. And once you show, I assure you, if you show somebody how to code that will get them an app to do the work, will automate their work. I assure you this person will sit down as Eunice, a very young lady, and say, I want to learn that code. I want to know how to create that application. So I think these are very easy solutions you can do. As of now, the fact that we may be limited with COVID-19 pandemic, I think this is the best time to prove this technology works. This is the time to show technology works. It's either now or never. But now it works to even reach a better number. We need to see, that's why it's called digital. You know, pre-COVID and post-COVID. Pre-COVID, you were reaching 10,000 women. Post-COVID, your target is to reach 20,000 women. And with digital, it will even prove these things are very easy when they're automated. And I think with these basic things, we can be able to reach as many young ladies as possible, getting to inspire them, getting them to see your career in your eyes, the way you see it. It's not the way they see it. Getting them to see the value out of it, getting them to see you can create a skill set out of this. You can go and impact another community and impact more, and the chain keeps growing. And I think those are the few basic things you can even start as we resume what we have. At the end of the month is, how many people have I shared my skill with? Who knows what I know? Who knows the latest trend?
I absolutely love that, Eunice. I love that. Just that focus on impact. And I think it's also something that Mbali touched on earlier about how the need for unity, but also I think just subtly challenging organizations that work in the space of training women to say that don't just focus on the numbers, but focus on creating real impact. I think that's a powerful point as well. So as we come almost to the end of this discussion, just as your final words, what would you like to encourage the women that are watching this right now? And where can people also find you on social media? Who would like to go first?
I can go first because my internet is really showing me flames. Hey,
sure.
I might just change you all. So yeah, I think we need to be obsessed about us getting involved in the tech space. Be as obsessed as men are. Learn as much as we can. Sponge from people who've been there. Ask questions. Literally expose ourselves to avenues and spaces where these conversations take place, like these ones, and yeah, learn as much as you can, man, and just be out there, like show up when there's a tech event, even if it looks a little bit intimidating. Go there and ask questions, ask people to clarify XYZ for you if needs be. As for where you can find me, I am not on social media because I'm just taking a break on social media. It's just a personal thing. So I don't think I'm anywhere. I think my email address, Beth@startupgrind.com. That's easy. Or my number. I don't mind giving out my number and my WhatsApp number. But otherwise, I'm not on Twitter, I'm not on Instagram, I'm not on Facebook, I'm not on LinkedIn. That's just a personal decision. But who are on social media, it does work for other people, for other businesses and all of that. Cool.
Okay,
thank you, Beth. Thank you.
Thank you so much. There's absolutely nothing wrong with, just not being on social media. One needs a break every now and then, or just totally not even exist on the socials. But thank you so much for those words of encouragement. Eunice?
Yes, so my final words, I think this was refreshing. Hope this has helped 2 people. That is my goal. What I can actually say to that 20, I'm thinking of age gaps, age range. So to that person between 18 to 24, you cleared university and you're wondering where to start from, my final words to you is get a skill set. Get a skill set. Today on Facebook, I saw somebody post, he wants his 15-year-old son to learn web design and digital marketing skills. So I was amazed. Yeah, I'm doing a training of some other team, and I have a lady who is 15 years and she is quite fast. So my inspiration, or rather what I can tell you is just go Google digital marketing, learn one or two, three things, get a skill set, go online, go to Upwork, apply for one or two, three things. I am a believer of you learn in the job, because I learned in the job. And I believe anybody can learn in the job. And I believe you can learn anything you put your mind to, anything. So be hungry, be as hungry as much as you can, learn as much as you can. LinkedIn has made everything easy for you. Look for connections, look for digital marketing, go search, I'm Eunice Mugai. You can search me LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, I'm all over. You can get me, just search for Eunice Mugai. You'll get my profile. DM, ask a question. Also, still on the same LinkedIn, get to also look at other people, other professionals. You always have one or two, three things to learn. If you're in business, and I know COVID-19 is really not so easy, what I can say is learn digital marketing, keep up with the skills, get a website, go to GoDaddy, get a domain, get to learn as much as you can, because the minute you stop learning, your business never gives a return on investment. And finally, I hope this has been an encouragement to a young lady somewhere.
Thank you so much, Eunice. Mbali?
Firstly, thank you so much for being part of this conversation. We really, really, really do hope that at least, two women have this. And just obviously to add, one of my last words would be, I just urge you, young women, to actually start to be more hungry, start be more interested in technology. We speak of internet, but there are actually women who have data for days and would rather spend it on Instagram. How about actually starting to use the time that you have to actually either upskill yourself? There's a whole lot of information that's available online from different courses to just different industries. Like Eunice has obviously mentioned, just start by searching digital marketing, whether you a brand yourself or even have a business. There's a whole lot of stuff to be learned online. And I think we are also spending a lot of time on Netflix and YouTube and Instagram. How do we actually start to actually use some of that time to actually impact ourselves and equip ourselves? The time is really changing, and unfortunately those that will be left behind will be left behind. And so we want to make sure that women are not part of those that are left behind. How do we all become part of the transformation, and just part of it, but also at the forefront of the transformation? So I really do urge all young women to be hungry, to be interested, whether it could be digital marketing, coding, anything that has just to do with tech, regardless of what industry you are in. Technology is obviously impacted in a way. Technology is part of that business or that organization that you are part of. And lastly, where can people reach us? They can find us on Instagram. It is Pink Coders Africa, LinkedIn Pink Coders Africa, and also on Twitter Pink Coders Africa.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mbali. And thank you, Beth. Thank you, Eunice. Thank you for making the time. And I sure do hope that many other young people, especially young women, have learned a lot out of this conversation, and they've been encouraged by some of the insights that have come out of this discussion. Just my last words, I think, to everyone else watching this, there is nothing inherently masculine about technology. And with that said, the tech sector remains heavily dominated by men, but it doesn't have to be like this, as our panelists have indicated today. So there is a lot that society collectively can do to accelerate the participation of women in the digital and technological sector. And yeah, a lot has come out of this conversation today, and I'm so happy about that. Thank you, ladies. As Digify Africa, we appreciate you. You are now a part of our network, and I'm sure our alumni, from South Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, and many other African countries have learned a lot out of this conversation. Thank you so much, and thank you to everyone else that tuned into this conversation. See you online. See you on the socials. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Malebo King.